The market is fucked. No one is going to buy when it's fallen this far. Or perhaps the signals aren't out there just yet. There are a few signals in the background that we are waiting for that will, one, time this next bounce, and then two, give a price target for this next bounce, which is very likely coming very, very soon. I do believe that we start this one, or we see Bitcoin start this one probably before the end of this week. But before we get into that, I do want to let you know that the Crypto School signups are still going strong for the next day and 7 hours or so, and counting down. We will do a live stream event for the members of this tomorrow. It is free. It just requires an exchange account, but obviously that is your exchange account. And again, just to kind of quickly explain this program, and the purpose of it is to give you a trade strategy template that you can iterate off of, make your own, and well, do whatever you want with it after that. That's your problem. But yes, that's available for you. After this sign up ends, it's gone, it's done, it's kaput, and maybe we do a second cohort at another date, but that is not in the books as of right now. So if you're on the edge, check it out. If you're not, then don't. Anyways, moving on to the first thing, I do want to go over some price statistics before we get into the tangible signals that we're looking for to kind of produce this next bounce that Bitcoin is likely to experience, whether you're bullish or bearish here. But the daily statistics for Wednesday has been more or less a coin flip in terms of whether it's likely to close positively or negatively. Slight favor in terms of positive closures here. However, it has been a very high positive return for those positive closing days. And even on the negative side, actually, one of the bigger ones as well. 3.5% versus about 2% respectively for the upside versus downside. I'm a lot more biased today towards Bitcoin showing a short-term downside move, maybe even retesting around yesterday's low, which would be almost like a 2% move from here. I think it's very unlikely we do see a 3.5% move to the upside, but that actually would put Bitcoin around $64,000. So just for reference. Anyways, moving on from there, here is the big thing that I'm waiting for. To kind of time this next sort of low before a bounce. And again, I say this regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish. If you're bearish, you're probably looking for a bounce. If you're bullish, you're obviously looking for a bounce. The difference is that the bears are going to be looking for a lower high to be formed. Anywhere really below $65,000 would be quite damning. But here is it right here. The daily time frame for CME, just looking at a daily RSI, very, very simple tool here, but does typically get the job done for these, specific instances. And we can see as of right now, there's no bullish divergence to be found. I don't care that the RSI is low and it's in the oversold territory. I don't believe in any of that shit really that much. But I do believe that divergences have a very high degree of playing out, especially on higher term timeframes. And that's probably what we're waiting for right here. So as of right now, there's no divergence to be had. I suspect that either today or tomorrow, we will see this one swing back down, maybe make a slightly lower closing low. Than we already see, but at that point, produce some divergence, and that's when Bitcoin's likely to bounce. So, probably still before end of week here. We're going to see the daily VMP also most likely get a positive curvature here as well. So at least a pity bounce for Bitcoin. On top of that, we do see, again, just for kind of uniformity here and for a greater picture, we do see that stochastic momentum remains to the downside on all higher term timeframes. So, technically speaking, if you're just going off of technicals, you're probably looking for a bounce and you're looking for that bounce to create a lower high. Now, based off of yesterday's video and several other videos as well, I do believe that there's a few important fundamental things in the background that do supersede what's going on sort of a technical basis here. Namely the Bitcoin production cost chart that we looked at yesterday and many times prior. That one's quite compelling to me. But for right now, pressure is to the downside. And if you are bearish, you're really looking for this to break down below $60,000 and hold below $60,000 in early July here. That's when it would happen if it is going to happen. We see weekly time frame stochastic momentum angled to the downside heavily. 5-day, same shit. 3-day, same shit. 2-day time frame, same shit. Daily time frame is actually starting to tick up here. So the more time naturally that Bitcoin trades sideways, the more and more that these will start to align once again to the upside. But for now, it's mostly aligned to the downside with a very likely short-term bounce in the interim here. My personal position is exactly what I said yesterday. Based off of the Bitcoin production cost chart. I'm more biased towards Bitcoin putting a low somewhere around this low $60,000 territory. Maybe it makes a little bit of a step below that. That's fine, but ultimately, very likely a long-term opportunity if you are thinking like 6 months to a year down the road, basically. Anyways, moving on from there, we got that. Let's talk about likely targets for this. I think in this case, it's still more or less the same. Assuming that Monday was basically around the low, I've already done a bearish Fibonacci retracement here. So, extremely likely we see this one bounce to $63,500 or so, give or take a little bit from that number, before this is all said and done. Again, regardless whether super bullish, super bearish, if I had to kind of draw this one out with the LARP lines, what I think is probably going to end up looking like is, you come down slightly, put in that divergence, start to see, some of those higher term time frame stochastic momentums turn back onto the upside, very likely a bounce. If you see a major rejection right here, that's going to be a really good sign Bitcoin is fucking bearish. Of course, if Bitcoin does trade a little bit higher towards the 50% level, still there is, that still is obviously a lower high. It's really not until Bitcoin gets back above the 618 here where I'd say, hey, this looks good. It's from a technical standpoint. Again, the underlying fundamentals that we looked at on yesterday's video, I do put in like a higher regard as of right now, but that's just a personal position. Again, just going off technicals right here, it's technically not until you're back above that 618, which is basically your Thursday rejection of the 20th. The 20th of June's Thursday rejection, which is basically $66,500. Bitcoin even just trades back above there. This is very obviously going to be confirmed as like a macro higher low, not just a major higher low, but very likely a macro higher low. But that would imply that Bitcoin, trades mostly sideways and slightly up in most of July, like no real major range breaks. But yeah, we have that, and then also over here, the daily for the HPDR bands, we can see is trade. It did bounce off a 786 level right here. It is holding between now the 50% level and the 618 level. Doesn't really tell me too much, but what I'm waiting for, the tangible signal here, and likely what's going to time this bounce, maybe after a short-term return back to yesterday's open, is when the volatility represented by HPDRV starts to contract yet again. If we see that, especially going below 50 percentile, you're very likely going to see a move around the median. Currently, actually right now, it's at $66,500. I suspect once we get this signal, you're probably going to see the median move down closer to that $63,500 or $64,000 territory, and that's very likely going to be at minimum the bounce target, for this next short-term move. But still, it's not in there just yet. It probably starts to happen tomorrow if I had to guess. Today, like I said, is probably going to be an inside day and probably slightly down if anything. So yes, I think that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off on this one. Very short and sweet video here, but there's really not a whole hell of a lot of new things to be going over at this point. Again, Bitcoin bouncing off the weekly HPDR. So, I do think we're a lot more likely to see this one hold. And this one kind of does play more hand in hand with the Bitcoin fundamental chart that we looked at yesterday. So, that's my personal view. If I'm just presenting the TA and the statistics, then, well, we already went over that. Trend is always your friend. And right now, on the daily time frame, it is obviously to the downside. So that has to be respected. Anyways, okay. That's a good place for me to be leaving off. Like I said, yet again, there is a sale going on for all of the products and services, whether it's the historical price action statistics like you see over here, or the HPDR bands like you see over here, or or the Krown quant automation, which allows you to automate your trades. You can get 20% off with the code midsummer100 in all capitals. I'll type it out for you right now as well, because some people spell midsummer differently, actually, is what I've learned. But it's like the normal American spelling, I think. Midsummer 100 in all capitals, and you can actually even just get 1 month for free of the Krown automation service, which is kind of like a much more advanced version of this crypto school here, where it doesn't just give you trade templates and whatnot, like very direct trade templates, I should say, but it also gives you a tool to actually automate execution of your trades if you so desire, or at least automate the backtesting of your trades. So I'll leave that for you right there. Again, midsummer 100 in all capitals. And as always, wish you the best from this nice Thursday afternoon here in Helsinki. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.